Have you ever stopped to think about a number? A number so powerful, so important, that an entire sport decided, you know what, nobody else can ever wear this again? That's a pretty big deal, right? Well, today we're going to talk about that number and the legend who wore it, Jackie Robinson. And yeah, that number is 42. I mean, think about it. It's the only number in history to be retired by every single team in Major League Baseball. And it's not because of some home run record or anything like that. It's for one man's unbelievable courage, his character, that didn't just change a game, it changed America. But here's the thing that's so fascinating, and it's really the heart of his story. We think of Jackie Robinson as a fighter, right? A guy who broke down walls. But his greatest weapon, the thing that made it all possible, was having the strength not to fight back. Sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? It's this incredible paradox. He had to take all this hate, all this abuse, and respond with nothing but pure talent. So, where did that strength come from? All right, so to really get it, we've got to go back, way back. See, long before he ever put on a Dodgers uniform, Jackie Robinson was already a guy who just would not stand for injustice. It was baked into who he was right from the start. And let's get one thing straight. The man was an absolute athletic freak. I mean, jaw-droppingly good. At every single level, he didn't just compete, he dominated. Get this, at UCLA, he was the first athlete ever to get a varsity letter in 4 different sports. Football, basketball, track, baseball, you name it. He was a force of nature, plain and simple. So his incredible sports career gets put on hold by World War II. He ends up serving as a second lieutenant in the Army. And it's here, on a pretty ordinary day in 1944, on an Army bus, that we see that character of his get put to a major test. Now, technically, the Army had already desegregated its buses, but that little detail didn't stop the driver from telling Lieutenant Robinson to move to the back. And what did Jackie do? He refused. Just flat out refused. He knew the rules, he knew the order was wrong, that it was against the Army's own regulations, and he wasn't having it. This wasn't some big planned protest, you know? It was just pure instinct, an act of basic human dignity. So for this, for standing up for his rights, he gets arrested, he gets court-martialed. And you'd think, okay, this is not going to end well. But here's the twist. The panel of officers, an all-white panel, mind you, heard the case, and they acquitted him. They cleared him. He stood his ground on principle, and he won. And that moment, it showed he had the guts to stare down the system. And believe me, someone very important was watching. Yeah, that defiant streak turned out to be exactly what was needed. After he gets an honorable discharge from the Army, Jackie goes back to baseball, playing for the Kansas City Monarchs in the Negro Leagues. And that's when he gets on the radar of a man named Branch Rickey. Rickey was the GM for the Brooklyn Dodgers, and he was cooking up a plan that was about to change absolutely everything. Rickey called it the Noble Experiment. And what an experiment it was. He understood that to break baseball's color barrier, which had been in place for 60 years, he needed more than just a talented player. He needed a man made of steel, someone who could walk through a hurricane of pure hate and not break. He needed Jackie Robinson. So they have this legendary meeting, right? And Rickey just lays it all out. He doesn't sugarcoat a thing. He tells Jackie about the ugly, vicious reality of what's coming. The racial slurs, the death threats, the players who will try to injure him on purpose. And Jackie, you know, the same guy who wouldn't move to the back of the bus, is just stunned. He looks at Rickey and asks, "Are you looking for a Negro who's afraid to fight back?" And this is where it all comes together. Rickey looks him right in the eye and says, "No. I need a Negro player with guts enough not to fight back." Wow. I mean, think about that. Rickey knew that if Jackie retaliated even once, no matter how justified, the whole experiment would fail. They'd say, "See, we told you so." He was asking this ultimate fighter to take every single hit, every insult for the greater good. And Jackie Robinson? He said yes. And with that, the stage was set for one of the toughest, most important seasons in the history of sports. April 15, 1947. Jackie Robinson steps onto the field wearing a Brooklyn Dodgers uniform for the first time. And he wasn't just playing a game, he was carrying the weight of a country's prejudice on his back. And just like Rickey said it would, the hate came pouring in. Vicious, nasty slurs from other dugouts. Entire teams threatening to strike just because he was on the field. One player intentionally slid into him with his spikes up, leaving a 7-inch gash on his leg. The abuse was relentless. So how did Jackie answer? He answered with greatness. He went out and led the entire National League in stolen bases. He was named the first ever MLB Rookie of the Year, and he led the Dodgers all the way to the World Series. That's how you answer hate.
Now, he wasn't totally on an island. There were allies, teammates, like the team captain Pee Wee Reese, who stood up for him. There's this incredible story. They're playing in a really hostile city. The crowd is just laying into Jackie. And Pee Wee Reese, a white guy from the South, just calmly walks over from his position, puts his arm around Jackie's shoulder, and just stands there with him. A simple gesture, but it was so powerful it silenced the entire stadium. It was this beautiful moment showing that courage and decency weren't about color.
So Jackie has this amazing Hall of Fame career, but his fight, oh, it was far from over. You could also make the case that his most important work was just getting started. He knew that baseball was just the beginning. It was a platform he could use to fight a much, much bigger battle.
I mean, just look at this. The man never stopped being a pioneer. He became the first Black television analyst in baseball. Then he becomes the first Black vice president of a major American corporation, chock full of nuts. He helped start a Black-owned bank, the Freedom National Bank, to help his community build wealth. He was just relentless, using his platform to push for civil rights everywhere he went.
And he kept fighting, literally, until the very end. His last public appearance was at the 1972 World Series, just 9 days before he died. And did he use that time to talk about himself? Nope. He used that moment in front of the whole world to say he wouldn't be truly satisfied until he looked over to the third base coach's box and saw a Black manager, always pushing forward. His work was never finished.
And I think that's the ultimate takeaway from the life of number 42. This quote says it all. It wasn't about being liked. It was about a fundamental demand for respect, for simple human dignity. He taught us that real strength sometimes means not fighting back. He showed us that the best answer to hate is undeniable excellence. And he proved that one person living a life of courage and purpose can absolutely change the world. All he asked for was respect as a human being. And in the end, that's exactly what he earned, from an entire nation and for all time.